day after the man with the black eyes, I didn't see a single patient. The sun never really came out, just gray clouds hanging low like a ceiling that was about to fall on the island. The kind of sky that pressed down on your chest, made it hard to breathe. I tried the radio again that morning. Still static. I flipped the switch off and on, messed with the dial, tapped it, even hit it a couple times. Nothing but fuzz. I needed answers. I needed to call someone, tell them something was wrong here. But there was no one to call. So I decided to take a walk. Maybe clear my head. Maybe talk to someone. Or maybe just feel like I wasn't going crazy. The village wasn't far, just a 10-minute walk from the clinic. Same empty streets, same shuttered windows, same people staring without blinking. I passed a store and waved at the clerk through the glass. He didn't wave back, just slowly turned away. I kept walking. Tried knocking on a few doors. Light knocks, friendly. No one answered. Even when I heard movement inside. Even when I heard breathing on the other side of the door. Nothing. It was like I didn't exist, or like they were pretending I didn't. Then I got an idea. There was a big map hanging in the clinic's storage room. Old, maybe from the 70s. Yellow and rolled up. I saw it when I first arrived and didn't think much of it. But now, I needed to see where I was, where this island fit in the world. So I rushed back, pulled it out of the cabinet, laid it across the desk. It had every major landmass, every shipping lane, every island chain. I scanned the section where we should have been, somewhere off the coast of Alaska. There were dozens of dots, tiny ones, named and numbered. But not this one. Not Site 113. I checked again. Nothing. It wasn't there. The island didn't exist on the map. I stared at that empty patch of blue sea for a long time. Then I laughed, because what else could I do? Later that afternoon, I returned to the general store, not to buy anything, just to see what the clerk would say. He was sitting behind the counter, counting something in his hands. Not money. Bones. Tiny ones, maybe bird bones. He placed them on a small scale. Didn't look up. "What are you doing?" I asked. He didn't answer. I walked closer. The bones clicked as he moved them. Some were tied together with black string. "I need to contact the mainland. The radio's not working." Still no response. He kept weighing bones. "Can I borrow a phone?" He looked up then, slowly. "There's no phone," he said. "What about a boat? When's the next supply run?" He stared at me like I was asking about unicorns. "There's no boat," he said. "Then how do people leave?" He smiled. "They don't." I left without buying anything. When I got back to the clinic, there was a paper bag waiting on the porch. Inside, raw meat, a single egg, and a note. "For the doctor, payment received." But I hadn't treated anyone that day. At least, not that I remembered. That night, I walked to the edge of the island. Just needed to feel something different. The ocean looked wrong, flat, still like glass. No waves, no breeze, just that heavy silence again. Then I saw them. Dozens of wooden totems lined up in the sand, each about 4 feet tall, all facing the sea, each carved with a different face. Some screaming, some crying, some with no eyes at all. One looked like the man from the clinic. The coat, the mouth, the black eyes. I reached out and touched it. Warm. Not wood warm, skin warm. I pulled my hand back fast, heart thumping. I didn't touch another one. Didn't want to. Before I headed back, I took a bottle from my bag. A small one from my travel kit. I tore a page from my notebook and wrote, "My name is Dr. Samuel Rhodes. I'm trapped on an island that doesn't exist. Please help." I added the date, slipped the note inside, corked it, and tossed it into the sea. Watched it float away. The water didn't ripple. It just took the bottle like it had been waiting. That night, I locked all the windows, just like the rules said. The clinic felt colder than before, like something was building, waiting. I made a cup of instant coffee just to stay awake, kept every light on, sat at the desk, watched the door, waited for the man with black eyes to return. But he didn't. I finally went to bed around 4 a.m. Didn't bother undressing, just laid there staring at the ceiling, heart beating hard in my chest. When I woke up the next morning, I knew something was wrong. The sun was up, barely, but the room was dim. I looked around. Everything was in place, except for the bottle. The one I had tossed into the sea. It was sitting on my pillow, dry. Same note inside, unopened. Same writing, same date. But one thing had changed. Under my message, in darker ink, someone had added, "They never left either." That was when I knew. This island wasn't just remote. It wasn't just forgotten. It was hidden.
I stopped sleeping after that. At least not in any real way. A few minutes here, a nap there, but I couldn't rest. Not with everything happening. Not when I kept seeing things out of the corner of my eye. Movements that vanished the second I turned. Shapes that didn't belong inside a clinic. Or anywhere. It was the fourth night when I made my next mistake. It wasn't on purpose. I'd just forgotten how early the sun set here. I was checking supplies in the back storage room, writing down meds we were running low on. Bandages, antibiotics, syringes. The room had one window, small, square, and stuck halfway open. By the time I noticed the sun had dipped behind the trees, the air had already changed. Thicker, heavier. The silence was back, that awful, living silence. And I remembered the rule. Lock all windows at dusk. I rushed to it, tried to pull it shut. It creaked and groaned, wood grinding against wood. Wouldn't move. Then, I heard whispering, right behind me. Too close. I turned fast. No one there, but the whispering was still happening. Now from the hallway, then to my right, then behind me again. It was like something was circling me without footsteps, just voice. I finally slammed the window shut with both hands and locked it. The whispering stopped, right away, like flipping a switch. That night, I moved a chair in front of the mirror upstairs and covered it with a blanket. I didn't want to risk it. The third rule was clear. Don't look into the mirror after midnight. I didn't know why, but I didn't want to find out. The next patient came on the fifth night. A little girl. Couldn't have been older than 7. She arrived around 10 p.m., holding her own arm like it was broken. No adult with her. No knock. She just opened the door and walked in. Her arm was bent the wrong way, dangling loose. Her eyes were wet, but she didn't cry. "Can you fix it?" she asked softly. My heart dropped. I looked behind her. No one there. She walked in and sat on the table like she'd done it before, like she belonged there. "Where are your parents?" I asked. She shook her head. "Don't have any," she said. I hesitated. I thought about the rules. but she hadn't been here before. Not that I remembered. So I did what I was trained to do. I treated her, wrapped the arm, gave her something mild for pain, and cleaned a scrape on her shoulder. When I was done, she smiled. A wide, toothy smile. "Thank you, doctor," she said, then walked out into the night. No one came to get her. I couldn't sleep. I stayed downstairs, sitting at the front desk watching the door. Midnight passed, then 1 a.m., then 2, and that's when I heard it. A knock. Not at the door, but on the back window, the one in the storage room. It was soft, like knuckles brushing glass. I didn't move, didn't breathe. A second knock. I stood up slowly, walked through the dark hallway, didn't turn on the lights. I peeked into the storage room, saw the shape of a head behind the curtain, low to the ground, child-sized. Another knock. I backed away, didn't answer, didn't speak. At 3 a.m., I went back to the bedroom. I stood in front of the mirror, still covered. My hand hovered near the blanket, but I didn't touch it, didn't look. I couldn't. The next morning, I found a paper slipped under the clinic door. Crude handwriting, all uppercase, smudged. It said, "You treated me twice." No name, no signature, just that. I ran out into the village, tried to find the girl, knocked on doors, called out. No one answered, no one helped. When I passed the general store, I saw her. The same girl, same clothes, same broken arm. She was standing in the middle of the road, staring at me. I ran to her. "Are you okay?" I asked. She didn't move, didn't blink, just opened her mouth. Inside, instead of one tongue, there were two. One normal, the other thin and sharp, like a blade of bone. She whispered, "I feel better now," then walked away. I stood there frozen. I hadn't even touched her that second time, but she had come back, and I had spoken to her. I followed her until she turned a corner, but when I did, she was gone. Vanished, like she'd never been there. That night, I covered every mirror in the clinic, taped sheets over them, even the little one on the metal tray. I wrote in my notebook, "The rules aren't random, they're protection. Everyone I've broken, something happened." Then I crossed out the word happened, rewrote, changed, because that's what it felt like the island changed after each broken rule. And maybe me too. I started seeing shadows move faster, hearing voices when I was alone. My reflection began to lag behind, only by a second, but it noticed. It started smiling when I wasn't. I used to think the rules were silly, just leftover notes from some paranoid doctor before me. But now I know better. The rules weren't suggestions. They were warnings.